Hello and welcome to this episode of the Business Spotlight. Today we are joined by Lee O'Brien from IAD UK. Hi there, Lee.
Hello, Mark. How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for asking.
You're more than welcome. So you might be wondering, what is the Business Spotlight? And for those of you that are joining us for the first time today, the Business Spotlight is an opportunity for us to interview local businesses and local business owners, find out a bit more about them, a bit more about their businesses, and for you, the listeners and our audience, to maybe find some information regarding maybe setting up a business or what the joys and the highs and the lows of running a business could be. And if you're thinking about getting on that entrepreneurship journey. So Lee, if you can just kick things off for us by letting the audience know who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for.
Yeah, sure. No problem. So, yes, my name is Lee O'Brien. I'm the current managing director of IAD UK. IAD are a global property business that have got 20,000 agents operating in 8 countries across 2 continents. But that's not where my journey started. I started as a corporate estate agent working in a branch in my local town of Hoddesdon, where I grew up. And I actually worked in that branch for 2 years before reaching what I felt was a bit of a glass ceiling within the branch and within the department, and actually took that step to go out and start my own business back in 2004 with my business partner that I worked with at the time. And it really was our only option to take the next step that we wanted to, but we were both young. I was 20 at the time, and we launched that property business back in 2004. It was a very traditional agency business that we ran, and we ran a 3-branch, 35 staff agency business until 2023, when the IAD Group came along and were looking to launch their business into the UK, and they wanted to do that via acquisition. So they actually bought our 19-year-old business, and me, my team, all came over to form the foundations of what is the IAD business in the UK now.
Wow, what a journey so far. That sounds amazingly.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a journey. 20 years this September, 20 years as
Wow,
a business,
congratulations.
from a business owner standpoint, anyway.
Yeah, and happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Lee, what would you say then, with all of that said, what is it that really makes you guys stand out from, the other businesses out there doing something similar?
So there are only a few real sort of players in the space in which we operate in the UK. So we run a platform for agents to come and work within, to be able to create their own business and run their own estate agency business with the support of a global brand. We provide all of the tools, technology, and training for them to be able to do that. And we are steadily growing our numbers in the UK of agents that are operating. But one of the points of difference, because there are a couple of other operators in the market that offer something similar, is we are a network marketing business. So successful agents can actually bring on other people that want to go on the same journey, and they can build teams within this business. So you don't have to be a single person estate agency business. You can actually bring other great agents into the operation, running on exactly the same contract as you with the same benefits, but also forming part of your team that you support them, and you then take a share of that income as well. So it builds a residual income from people within the business that are willing to grow and build and nurture teams within the organization. And that's one of the key elements of difference within the IAD business and why it's grown so rapidly, as this business was only formed in 2008. So they've gone on a meteoric sort of rise over 16 years now, to get to the point where they're at today in size and sort of the values of which the business operates.
Wow, that sounds amazing. That's a brilliant share. Thanks for that, Lee.
No worries.
So what would you say the journey's been like for you personally? I mean, from, if you was to take us through, say, a whistle-stop tour from this particular journey of this business for what you're doing now, if you can just bring us up to speed from the beginning to now.
So from the beginning of the IAD business?
Yes, yeah.
So we were approached about 18 months ago because we were already operating our own version of a self-employed agency platform. So in 2020, we centralized our operations. So we closed our 3 high street offices because customers weren't really coming into high street offices anymore, even then, pre-COVID. And we centralized our operations into a beautiful barn conversion that I'm in today, on a farm off the high street. And that was quite a step at the time. But what that allowed us to do was centralize the business to grow. And we were then able to support self-employed agents under our brand to go and run their own businesses. And we started to bring, well, we brought on our first agent in June 2020, right in the midst of COVID. And then we grew our business over the sort of following 3 years. And we had 20 agents operating in various areas of the country. And we were very much believers that actually this is the future of agency for great agents. It gives them the autonomy, flexibility, and the lion's share of all of the commission, to allow them to provide a great service and run a business that they can be proud of.
Wow, that's a pretty cool setup that you've got there then.
Yeah, and the IAD Group have done that since 2008. So when they were looking at the UK market and they were having conversations with other agencies, other agency people, or people to run the business, they went on a real search, and they met nearly 50 people by the time they actually met us. And actually we really clicked. The way that we saw the future of the business going really aligned with what they had in terms of their vision. The technology that we talked about in our first meeting that we were looking to develop for our agents, these guys had already developed it, and actually they were ahead of us in terms of their development, but they just needed a great foundational team to kickstart this journey. And yeah, that's where it all sort of came about. And yeah, all the discussions happened, and the 3 months of legal pain and yeah, sleepless nights of trying to get this thing through. But come July 2023, we were ready to launch, and we slowly switched brands from our original brand into the new IAD brand, and all our agents made that transfer process and started to operate in the new framework and with the new resources that we had.
Wow, what a journey so far then. What a journey so far. And thanks for that, Shirley. So you did mention and alluded to sort of having clicked with the rest of the group and similar sort of outlooks as to what the future holds. So what does the future hold for you guys, Lee, and what challenges do you think you might face coming up over the next year or two?
So I absolutely believe that the future of estate agency businesses is going to change. We've already seen it, and its evolution from your traditional high street bricks and mortar operations into something that's more digital, more streamlined, and actually puts the power in the hands of the agent rather than having these layers of management and the bureaucracy that can come in a corporate style environment. We're seeing agents thrive with that independence, but independence alone doesn't breed success. It has to come with a framework of support, and the mentors within our business is a really, really powerful part of it. So you can't join the IAD business without a mentor that already is within the business, because of the way in which the business is structured. And that mentor is both financially and emotionally invested in your success, because unless you make a success of that business, you won't be a success for them and their organization, because you're mutually aligned. But that really is one of the secret sauce elements of the success of our agents, is that they are very, very well supported. So we provide market leading technology for them to run their operations. And then, yeah, that both online and offline support that they get on the journey means that they are independent, but not alone. And I think business can be a lonely place. And I think that's one of the key elements that's made a difference in the model itself. And I think that is the future. I think we're seeing a growing demand of self-employed agency across the country. And we will see more and more professional agents make that switch from an employed role to a self-employed role within an umbrella organization, because it is a low-cost way of being able to take back control, and give you access to all the tools and resources that you need.
Yeah, no, that sounds absolutely fantastic. And I think, just the way that you've mentioned it there with the mentoring and having that framework and the tools to support that, that's brilliant. So with regards to the challenges that you as a business owner yourself may face going forwards then, Lee? What do you think are going to be the main challenges for you?
So challenges, I suppose, in two heads really. So looking at it in the challenges of the business, we are in a growth phase of our business. So we are looking to bring more and more agents into our platform. We currently have 53 live agents across the market right now, and we're looking to continue on that journey to grow and bring more people into this adventure with us. And the more we grow, the more we'll grow. So because the business is always open to looking to grow from the agents from within, but the majority of the recruitment into our business is done by the agents that are already in the business. So naturally, if we can get a bigger group within, it will grow at a faster rate. So personally, that's my challenge, and that's what we're working on at the moment. We're establishing a new brand in the market, ensuring that each of the marketing functions and the features and everything that we utilize is refined to within an inch of its life, really. And we're constantly reviewing everything that we're doing. But then in a general market challenge, our agents, we've been in a period of actually a bit of stagnation in the market where interest rates have been high, property prices have been a little bit wobblier and certainly not grown at the rate that people were used to. But we've definitely seen a recovery in the market. We've seen a reduction more recently in the interest rates that are available. We can see that that's going to go on a continual trend this year. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not going to be back at 2% rates, but we are going to see it come down from its position of that sort of 5.5% that people were seeing in the base rate and obviously the offered mortgage rates. And I think people will find comfort in that. I think when that starts to move down below 4%, which it's doing now, towards 3.5%, I think the buying public will return with confidence, and we'll see actually a very good end to this year of 2024 in terms of business operations for the estate agency market.
Yeah, no, I think that's you've summarised it really well there. So thanks for that share, Lee. It's been great. So Lee, moving on to yourself then. I mean, as the business owner, what would you say has been the one biggest lesson that, if there was one, that really stands out for you?
I think one of the things I always sort of drive into people when asked, and actually I do that because I probably didn't do enough of it myself, and it's around being consistent and remaining consistent. And it's in everything that you do, whether it's in your marketing efforts and the activity, to your social media presence and how you're going to promote your brand, to consistently prospecting for new business, and actually in each of the key areas of your business life, remain consistent and hold yourself to that. It can become boring, but the minute it's boring, it potentially means that actually you are getting the results from it and it is worth continuing to do. So consistency would be a key lesson that I have learned along the way, and one that I impart a lot when we're talking to anybody that's in a point of struggle.
Yeah, no, I think that's an absolute brilliant share. So thanks for that, Lee. I think it's quite a key one for most of us as business owners. So that's a great share. Thank you very much. So Lee, I want you to humour me, if you will, and we're going to go back in time. Okay. Yep. So I was born in the 70s, raised in the 80s. So we're going to go in the DeLorean. Okay. So it's all fueled up. The flux capacitor's working, and we're going to get up to 88 miles an hour. But we're going to go back in time, and we're going to go and see an 18-year-old Lee. Okay. Now you get to give yourself one piece of advice, just one piece of advice, one golden nugget. What would it be?
I think don't underestimate the power of the relationships that you build along the way. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think the relationships that you build through, like we were talking before going live, around networking, and the relationship that you can build within the business and the industry that you're in can be so valuable to you, but not necessarily right away. And I don't think underestimating the effort that sometimes needs to be put in and the time spent in getting to know people, staying in touch, and actually building those relationships over the long term. Because I've had relationships come to fruition 15 years later in property, and And actually, I'm having a call this afternoon with a guy that I was in a mastermind group 5 years ago because he saw what I was doing on social media. He's interested to get involved, and I've got a call with him next at 4:30. So these things will come back round, but they'll also come back round in a bad way if you didn't nurture those relationships properly, if you treat people badly. So I think don't underestimate the power of building relationships, and you can never start too young.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful, very great piece of advice. So, yeah, if only we had that DeLorean,
Yeah.
eh? Brilliant. Thanks for that. So, Lee, clearly you're really passionate about what you do there. So, what is it that really, fires you up? What is it that inspires you to do what you do every day in, day out, week in, week out?
I think it's probably changed over time. So I think in the early stages, the passion and the drive that I had was to prove that I could do it. So it was stepping outside of the comfort zone, taking the risk and moving away from an employed position. We were able to do that. And then every time, every year, I was sort of resetting goals and we were moving things forward, whether it is in the business or in personal. So I probably think for me, it's continued growth that probably is the one that captures me year after year, because I think the things that I grow towards and the lessons that you learn and the things that you achieve change. But I think continued growth and development is something that excites me. It definitely is something that both myself and funnily enough, my wife have got quite a close affiliation to, because we're both always looking to find out a bit more or read a new book or listen to a different podcast and actually learn and take things on. So actually that learning journey we've been able to do together, which has been really nice. And I think has actually kept us both aligned and changing at a relative rate at the same time. So yeah, continuous growth and learning, I think, for me.
Yeah, wow, that's a fantastic share. Thank you very much for that, Lee. And yeah, man after my own heart. I think, that growth and that change in the personal development is a great thing to do. And the fact that you get to share it with your wife as well is phenomenal. So that's
I think
great.
it's important, because sometimes you can fast grow apart otherwise, So if you've got one person that's sort of hammer and tongs in that world and in that space, and the other person very much not, then you can become different people quite quickly. So I
Absolutely.
think that's been a real blessing without us realizing that actually we've done a few things together, and we often talk and share about the things that either we're listening to or reading or whatever, and that has allowed us, I think, to grow in the same direction. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% couldn't agree more. Thanks for that. So, Lee, then just to wrap things up, what would you like? People are going to want to find out more. So, if they want to get in touch, have you got any sort of like news that you want to share? And more importantly, how can people get in touch with you? Phone numbers or websites? What's the best way for them to get in touch?
Yeah, sure. So we are continually looking to add new agents, new business owners to the IAD platform in the UK. We run continuous sort of discovery events. So every week we run a virtual discovery event on a Thursday evening, 6 till 7, to tell you everything about the IAD platform, how people can join it, what's the training, what's the support and the tools. And then we run physical face-to-face networking meetings in different areas of the country. So later this month, I'll be in Milton Keynes, I'll be in Birmingham, we'll be in London, and we're also going to be in Bristol, Exeter and Plymouth, because we've got a bit of southwest growth going on at the moment. And we'll also hold some stuff here at HQ. So the headquarters for the business is based just out of Bishop Stortford, in a village called Little Haddam, and we'll be hosting some events here to be able to tell people about what we do, both face-to-face and online. They're completely no obligation. You do not need experience to be able to join and grow your business with us, because we have everything around you to be able to support you in that growth. But to find out a bit more, our website is join-iad.uk.com. We can look me up on LinkedIn and things like that. I've always got details on there as to what we're doing, when the next event is, and enable people to find out a bit more.
That's absolutely brilliant, Lee. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
No worries. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. And for those of you watching or listening, that's been the Business Spotlight. That's a wrap, and we'll see you all again very soon. Bye for now.
Thanks.